welcome to the Happy Hangout. We have an amazing guest today, Chrissy Ball. How are you, Chrissy?
I am so excited to be here.
Me too. Okay, so I want to share with my audience a little bit of how we met. It was really an interesting story. So we meet on the airplane
We
or
met
when
in
we
the
got to Georgia?
airport.
Okay, at the airport. Okay, so
Yes.
Chrissy and I did this business kind of like conference together. And ahead of time, we connected online because you were in a Facebook group and we kind of we could stalk people and find out who are these people going to this conference. And so I looked on your Facebook page and I was like, oh my gosh, she is just has this magnetic personality. I could see that just by looking at your pictures. And then I was like, oh, she's a Christian. Oh, I got to get to know her. So I sent you a private message and you said that we said that we were on the same flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where we met. Isn't that fun?
It is fun. And it is, you want to say it's random, but we know that life isn't random. So
That's
it
right.
just
That's
made
right.
the entire trip so much richer because we're all the new kids on the block. And when you're
That's right.
going someplace for the first time, everybody feels out of place. And so it was just lovely to connect on the plane before we even got there.
That's
So
right. And this leads into that night where at the conference, they wanted us to connect with people. And so they had us put people together to do a scavenger hunt. And that's where I got to know the stunt woman.
well, okay, so let's preface that a little bit by the two kids. So I'm a mom with two young kids. They're not little anymore, but they still require bath and bedtime. And so if you're a mom, it doesn't matter what phase you're in, you know what that all entails. And so being away, it was like, woo! It's like a freedom, party. And so when we did the scavenger hunt, it was kind of like, I don't know, a lot of us were just like let loose, weren't we, Christy? Like we were
Yeah,
just like, let's go. So yeah, I
it was so
probably
fun.
went a little overboard, but
No, you didn't. No, you made it so fun. And then okay, so just a little bit more backstory. There were a few of us that God put together at the airport. And so we were automatically connected. And it's so amazing that we were all Christian women. Crazy.
yes.
And so we automatically bonded on that level. But when we got and started doing the scavenger hunt, we had all these different challenges. And so when something was athletic or like if someone had to dance or someone had to hop on the what was it? The bicycle?
Yeah, a bicycle with some random person on their
On their
handlebars.
Guess who did these things? Wait, didn't you have to do yoga with a man or you did?
We did a whole bunch of stuff with a lot of
Yeah.
random people.
Right. So anyway, I'm going to let you tell a little bit more about yourself because you're a yoga instructor as well. So fill us in. I know you told us that you have two kids, but fill us in a little bit more.
Yes. So, as you said, I have taught yoga for the last 10 years, which I really love because it's something that came into my life during a time where I really needed, something else, a deeper connection with my body, within my soul. And so I started doing yoga first, practicing yoga, and then just kind of caught the bug and started teaching it. But yes, I've done yoga and I teach yoga. My kiddos make me need more yoga. No, I'm just joking. I love them to death.
We know.
But yeah, and so just balancing it all. And when you and I met, I had just come back into the country from working on a film overseas. And so I kind of have this rule where I'm only away from my family no more than 2 weeks. And so this job, I was over in Budapest in Abu Dhabi, which it was truly a trip of a lifetime because I was able to experience different people and their culture and working. It's almost like living and working in a different environment it was incredible and life-changing. And so I was able to come back from that and then jump on a plane and meet you guys. So that was probably another reason why I was a little crazy.
No, you got that inside you, that little fire inside you. That's why I was drawn to you on your Facebook page. I was like, she is fun. Okay, so how long have you been married?
I've been married over 10 years now.
Wow.
Are we dating ourselves a little bit? It feels like it. But yeah, we've been married for 10 years.
I don't even know how old you are. How old are you?
When I got married?
No, now.
Oh, I'm almost 43.
You look like this young little whippersnapper.
I'll be 43 next month. And it's really interesting because, doing stunts in the business, often you're taught very early not to share if you're pregnant and not to share what your age is. To
Mm,
keep that hidden because people typecast you and it
yeah.
gets harder to get jobs. And I have found such a liberation of just being able to stand in who God has created me to be. And and if you want an almost 43-year-old mother, then you can hire me. And if not, that's okay. And I think, as we continue to talk about our walk with faith, that the evolution of accepting who we are and all that God has made us is something that is just such a gift. So
I think our listeners want to know, how in the world did you get started being a stunt woman? Like, where did this come from?
well, that's a great question. I went to college for 4 years and did gymnastics in college. And after competing and having the sport be my entire world in life, I really didn't have a sense of self and who I was. And so I don't know about you or anybody listening, but I had no idea who I was after I graduated from college. It was like I crossed the stage and I had no idea who I was, what my purpose was in this world, and what in the world I was going to do to make an income.
Right.
And so I went to Florida with a friend and we went to Disney World and saw her brother in a stunt show. He was in the Lion King show. And I go, oh, this is amazing. And so her brother was the one that offered the idea of saying, well, why don't you do this while you want to figure out what you want to be for the rest of your life? So I was like, okay. So I ended up going to Las Vegas for an auditioned for a stunt show at Disney World, and ended up getting hired for the Tarzan Rock show. So that was the start of, performing and kind of having the world of being in entertainment and in the industry opened up to me.
So that is so interesting. Did you have to have a lot of training for that?
I've not had any formal performance training, so to speak.
So
But
they're just like, fall,
yeah, well,
jump off this thing.
gymnastics was really the
Yeah.
training that was really helpful because in the Tarzan Rock show, I was one of the rollerblading monkeys and I would climb up ropes and, flip on the ropes. I was an aerialist. So I was up, we were probably about 25 feet above the stage, and we would do, our little performance up there. And then we would rollerblade down and around. It's a little crazy
That's so fun.
to reflect back on that. But yeah, so that was kind of my training, but I learned on the job how to perform, how to, be in front of a live audience, which is very it's pretty intimidating, honestly, because when you make a mistake, you're making a mistake in front of 2,500 people. So,
Yeah.
kind of getting over that fear of, you know, not being perfect and kind of having the perfectionist side of me very exposed, and having to work on that through just, being human and making mistakes, which,
So
you know,
how can you think of a time or that you were really scared or fearful about what you were going to do? Or are you just like, throw me out of an airplane?
oh gosh, no. I mean, are you talking about just performing or in
Yeah.
stunts in
Yeah. Was there
general?
ever, well, yeah, any stunts? Like,
Oh, all the time. I mean, so for me, I'm actually afraid of heights. And so when I get up high, I get nervous. And sounds a little weird, but it's true. And I think that there are a lot of stunts that are very dangerous. Now we do a lot of rehearsals. There's a lot of pre-planning, especially for the big stunts, whether you're going to be by an explosion, whether you're watching a bus flip over end. I've seen somebody flip a bus before. I personally have stood on the edge of a building and had to jump off, being connected to a very small wire. And what I'll say is that um, sometimes it can be an absolute paralyzing fear of feeling like, am I going to live or is this person in front of me going to live and actually make it through the stunt? And it also has led to an amazing opportunity of faith, because no matter what your faith is in that moment, it's almost like everybody gravitates towards that person that will pray for them. And that
Mm.
will hold that space of faith for them and speak into them that, Lord, protect them, cover them, make this go, like put your hands on this so that everybody goes home safe, that they get what they need. And so yes, that fear has definitely been there, sometimes absolutely crippling. And also has every single time lended this amazing opportunity to either have a deeper relationship myself, asking somebody else to pray for me, or having someone else ask me to pray for them.
Wow, that's cool. I haven't thought about it that way. So you and I kind of talked a little bit, and I want you to remind me. Aren't there some famous people that you've been their stunt double? Tell us about that. We want to know the juice.
Well, okay, so I'm 5'3", even though I'm sitting down right now. You probably can't see how tall I am, but pretty much well, okay, I'm a little bit older now. So any of the older American women that you have seen in films, I've probably doubled. So I've doubled Kerry Washington, Wanda Sykes, Zoe Kravitz, Jada Pinkett Smith, Regina King, just some really amazing women, and also women that you probably wouldn't think I'd double, like Serena Williams, because she's 6'2", but I was sitting in a car for that job. So you couldn't really
That is
tell the
so
difference in height
exciting.
there.
And you're still actively doing this because you had said you came from Budapest. So obviously you're still doing this.
I
Let's
am
see. So
very part-time though.
you get to pick and choose.
Yeah, I definitely pick and choose now because, my number one job is to be mommy. And so I very much make sure that the choices that I make support me being mom
Yeah.
successfully first. So,
There's a little bit of a hard story that comes kind of in between all of this. When we were talking in Canada, in Toronto, I learned something about you that I was so surprised because I never thought I would meet someone that experienced this. So, can you tell a little bit? I know it's being vulnerable, and I know you can't share all the details, probably because of lawsuit. I don't know, but just can you tell us a little bit about that story?
well, yeah, I mean, I think one of the gifts in us all meeting in the way that we did was that, and I know you probably feel the same way, Christy, was that we all had a very genuine connection instantly. It was like, when we came together, it was like we've known each other for, a long time. And during that time, and it's still ongoing, as I shared earlier, even in our talk today, is that I was a gymnast and I did gymnastics at Michigan State University for 4 years. And all of the things that, you might have seen in the news, I was very much a part of, when it came to all of the abuse that happened within the gymnastics community.
Can
And
you
so
paint just because paint a little bit more of a picture because some people may not know like what does she mean because they may not have followed the news.
that's true. That's true. So all of the sexual assault that ended up happening with Dr. Nassar, he was actually my team doctor from the day I stepped foot on campus. So he was my doctor for 4 years. A lot of the things that you probably saw in the news were of athletes that either worked with him at national training camps or saw him, at different
So this is
competitions.
preparing for the Olympics, is that right?
Yes, but
Okay.
so that's pretty much what's been on the mainstream media and kind of in the news more. But my particular experience and some of the people that lived in Michigan, we saw him almost daily. He was our team doctor, so he did all of our physicals and injuries and things of that sort. So the story of the abuse and the fallout to that was it was like a fast moving train when you and I met. And I was and am still processing what happened. And
Let me back up a little bit. So okay, so this was a coach, and he
he was a
coached
doctor.
gymnasts. Oh, he was a doctor. He was a
Yes.
doctor. Okay, so you were on a gymnastics team, and you had to see a doctor and a lot of other. Is this someone you would see the doctor for? What would you see the doctor for?
Um, I mean, that's a layered question.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say we saw him almost daily.
Okay, and by choice, not by choice.
Well, I mean, when you're on a college team and when you're at that age, you have injuries, you have physical therapy that you need. There's also lots of rules where you have to be cleared, physicals,
Okay,
things of that sort. So yeah.
because probably our listeners, probably have no idea what kind of, just as much as you can paint a picture for us is great, because I mean, I don't even know what it's like to be a gymnast. I'm very far from that. So you and other girls would go into this doctor's office for him to check you out. And
So, yeah, I mean, overall, as a college athlete, you go to college and um, y- work out approximately 20 hours a week for your team. That's just training. Then you do strength and conditioning on top of that. Then you've got competitions and school and other events that support the team. And so, that's just kind of an overall kind of bird's eye view of what it's like to be a college athlete. And so, if you can picture being a teenager going away from home for the first time, you don't have your parents, as that buffer. But you're also 18, so you feel like you know everything in life.
yeah,
And um and then when you get to college, you have your coaches and the training staff, doctors making decisions, and
and
I
they're
don't
like your family.
huh?
Weren't they like your family?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
your coach basically becomes your mother, your
right.
parent, and you see them all of the time. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great analogy of it being like a family for
And your
sure.
doctor's someone we trust. We feel safe with them because they're taking care of us, they're nurturing us. So women,
Completely.
well, athletes would go see this doctor, and he was inappropriate. Is that
Yes.
how it
Yep.
happened?
Yeah.
And it was that daily too, like it was like a.
Well, everybody was different, the best way that I can describe it is that initially in the first wave of athletes that came forward, there were 333 of us, I believe, that came forward and were a part of the first wave of athletes that were assaulted by him.
Wow.
Since then, I think it's reached to about 500. Not quite
Wow.
sure about that number. But again, as you said, I'm talking more generally
Yeah,
because there are still legal matters going on, um, and there's also things that I'm still processing too. And so,
absolutely. Yeah. And
um,
I definitely don't want to sound insensitive, and
no,
anything I
not at
ask,
all. I
anything
know
I
it's
ask,
hard
you
to
can discount it.
understand. I think it's hard to understand, like you said, what the environment is like, and I think for me personally, walking through that time, my spirit started to break because I went there as an elite athlete. And when I got there, I wasn't successful at all. I was riddled with injuries and, uh, had always carried with me through my life that I was the problem,
Hmm.
not realizing that the people that were making those decisions were not making decisions that were in our best interest. And so I think that, as we continue to talk about faith and how that evolved, for me, I felt like I almost lost my faith in college.
Mhm. Oh, I bet.
Because I was going to Bible studies, and I remember my leg breaking. I did a dismount off the bars and my leg like broke in half. Like I had told them that I had an injury. I wasn't believed. I had to compete. I broke my leg. And I remember going to Bible study and having somebody say, just pray for healing and God will heal your leg. So I prayed for healing and my leg stayed broken for 9 months. And my leg just wasn't healing, and it wasn't healing. And I'm training and I'm competing and like I'm injured. And that healing wasn't coming. And that's when my faith really started to fracture. And again, being away from home and taking classes where they poke holes in your faith to analyze it in certain ways, I really started to have issues with believing. And as I look back, I'm really grateful for a family that took me in during that time, because in particular, I call her my Michigan mom. She would pray for me. She'd pray for me all the time. And as I look back, I realized that even though my faith was fractured, hers wasn't for me. And that was the only way that I got through that time, truly, is that she prayed his grace over my life.
Mm.
So, so yeah, it was a really difficult time. It took me probably 7 to 10 years to recover from being a college athlete, just leaving there with so many issues, just terrible body image, self-destructive behavior. I hated who I was, how I looked, and I think having that so deep inside of my soul, it took a long time to recover from that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. And it's still ongoing. And so we will pray for you that you are
Yeah.
bold and able to share your story and that it will change lives. You know, you have a platform, you have a
Yeah.
platform that you can share.
And we're still doing work. I mean, I am now on the National College Players Association, and we continue to do panels speaking with congressmen, people in the Department of Education, to shed light on what is still happening with college athletes. The college athletes are being misused today. They're being abused today. There are no protections for college athletes when it comes to being sexually assaulted by coaches and doctors. They just changed Title IX, where trainers and coaches aren't even mandatory reporters for sexual assault. And so a lot of people don't know these things. And I feel like I am called to continue to bring light to our kids and our young kids, who will look at and say, have faith, but yet we are not providing protection for them. And so, there's a huge need for awareness, and there's a huge need for us to continue to fight for those protections for our college athletes.
I love that you're being a voice for them. You just, you've lived it. It's your passion. And I'm so thankful for people like you that are bold enough to stand up, because it's not easy. I know it's not easy.
No, but God calls us to do certain things. And I think that, there was a choice where I go, well, we can just stay in our life and just live it on. Or, you know, when he brings us out of things, I mean, think about something that you've been through, or somebody that's listening has been through. Like if you're listening to us right now and you've been through something, or you're going through something, and as you look back, you realize all of the ways that he was with you, even though you might not have known that.
Absolutely.
That call and that draw to go, am I going to just act like that didn't happen, or am I going to reach back and try to help in a way that I wish somebody would have known how to do or would have done when I was going through that? I feel like when God brings us through those things, if we are capable of, if we have the resources to do that.
Absolutely. Okay. So I want to ask you a few questions that are just fun questions. Okay.
Okay.
What was your very first job ever?
Ooh, very first job ever. I think it was at Blockbuster Video.
Hey, I remember
Do you remember
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster Video?
I
I'm
do. I
aging
do.
myself. We
That
used
was
to have to rewind the VHS tapes.
that's right.
And then they
That's
would get
right.
a fee if they didn't rewind them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. If you had one last meal, what would it be?
Ooh, one last meal. I think it would be a really good sushi fish dish, like with some wine sauce and an amazing dessert.
Mmm. Sounds good. Okay. What is your pet peeve? Your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I think there's a long list as a mom. I don't think I ever had before. Whether I'm just trying to drink my coffee and the noise level is like way up here. No, but that's like, I don't know. That's just the first thing that comes to my mind, probably
Mine
because that's
is
what happened this morning.
I
Tell me
can't
yours.
handle I can't handle people smacking their gum. Oh, to pop her gum. And I was just, I mean, she still does it. I'm like, Mom, give me that gum. I cannot handle
Stop
this.
it.
Okay. I have to know what kind of person are you when the whole interview, did you ever secretly correct my grammar in your head?
No.
Okay. Oh, yay.
I was just looking at your tassels behind your head.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. How do you spell the word receipt?
Oh, Lord, help me.
That's my hardest word. I want to see if you can spell it.
RECIEPT? No.
I think it's I
REPT?
think
Is
it's
that right?
EI, which I always get
AI?
wrong.
I
I'm
don't
gonna have to
know.
Google that one.
I look at the spell check.
I know. What would we do without it? I just had to ask you because every single time I write that word, I have to look it up.
Okay, good. You're making me feel better.
Okay, if someone played you in a movie, who would that be?
Ooh, that's a great question. Who would that be? I really like Sanaa Lathan, and uh, she is in a movie called Love and Basketball, which is a very, I mean, you're probably like, what movie? And I know it's old, and I'm not even quite sure how I ended up watching it. But when I used to watch her in that movie, I could see myself. So I just love
That's
her.
cool. I
Yeah.
love that. I love
What
that. I
about
love to
you?
know. God, I don't know. I have to think about it. I need
Sure,
to
so
have that answer
fun.
though. I don't
Like
know.
with your hair and your arts. I don't know. We'd have to think
So,
about that.
yeah, I'll have to think about that. Yeah, for sure. Because one day they're going to make a movie about me and we're going to have to figure out.
There you go. We're gonna need to find your stunt double too.
Okay. So just so people know, I'm going to put your information in the show notes if they want to get in touch with you for whatever reason, if that's okay.
Okay.
But we didn't even really say what you do today. Like I know that you've gotten into teaching people how to make videos, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that. And then I'm going to put how they can contact you in the show notes.
Okay. Well, thank you. I have a huge passion now to help other entrepreneurs, business owners, realtors, and coaches on camera. So, as you know, so many of us have to be in front of the camera making videos, whether it is for membership, course content, or doing virtual summits now because everything is online. And so I help coach and help business owners make really good professional videos for their businesses.
And what is the name of that business?
It's just my name, chrissyball.com.
Okay. And then
And
there's a Facebook page that I've followed that I
oh
love your
yes,
content.
Conquer the Camera is what the Facebook page is called Conquer the Camera, just because it seems like the camera has been a lot of people's nemesis.
Exactly.
And so we meet in there as a group and just work on getting in front of the camera.
So fun.
Getting in front of the camera.
That's right.
But it doesn't feel
intimidating
like it's a big
for some
thing.
people. now that I've been doing it, I'm like, I love it. It's so
Yeah.
fun.
It's like once you break through that and you figure out who you are, and you know what I mean? And you're okay with that when you see your playback, then it's a blast, right?
And I
But
think the thing for me is the feedback that the people are responding and they're like, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. And I'm like, really? Really? So I just keep listening to the Lord. You're supposed to be doing this for some reason. So I'm trying to be obedient.
yeah,
Ah,
everybody is craving connection. And when we
absolutely.
see each other now, through the camera, we can actually see each other without being covered,
Mhm.
without having our faces covered. And it's one of the best ways that we can connect with each other. So
Absolutely. Girl, I love and adore you. And I appreciate you taking the time to do this
thank you so
today.
much for having me.
Yes, I pray for everything that's going on and for you
Thank
being an
you.
advocate for those gymnasts and sharing your story. And thank you for just making our trip in Toronto so much fun. So much fun. Love you, girl.
Love you too. Thank you for having me.